Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Girdhari Radha Girdhari Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhatikacharya Sotara Sata Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhatikacharya Sotara Sata Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Sad Goswami Prabhugan ki jai. Prem Sikaho, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakapinath, Shamakun, Radhakun, Giri Govardhana ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Baladevi Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namana Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachani. I spaced out and didn't get it earlier. Would somebody mind getting me the Samadhis book? Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. As you know, Maharaj gave a fired-up class yesterday, and he didn't have time to read about Ramananda Roy. It was his disappearance anniversary yesterday, and he was hoping that it would be read. So we'll take advantage of the opportunity. See Ramananda Roy. He is Lalita, I believe. Ramananda Roy. What in the heck? We're going to have to wing it. And I'll intersperse it with the lecture if I'm able to. Srila Ramananda Roy K. So we're going to get to hear how Narada instructs the Prachetas from the 4th canto, 31st chapter, text number 3. Tan Nirjita Prana Mano Vacho Disho Tan Nirjita Prana Mano Vacho Disho Jitasanan Shanta Samana Vigrahan Jitasanan Shanta Samana Vigrahan Pare Malay Brahmani Yojitat Manaha Pare Malay Brahmani Yojitat Manaha Sara Sarindro, that should be Sara Sarindro Dadrishe Sma Narada Sara Sarindro Dadrishe Sma Narada Tanijita Pranamanova Chodasho Chitasanan Shanta Samana Vigrahan Paremale Brahmani Yojitat Manaha Sarasaredyo Dadashes Manarada Tanirjita pranamano vachodasho Chitasanan shanta samana vigrahan Paremale brahmani yojitatmanaha Sarasaredyo didrishes Narada. Chitat sanchanta samana vigrahan Paremale brahmani yojitatmana Sarasaredyo didrishes Narada. Anujita pranamano vachodasha Paremale brahmani yujita.
Starting people.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Majority has it. We want to hear. After practicing the yogasana for mystic yoga, the prachetas managed to control their life air, mind, words, and external vision. I think we'd all like to be able to do that also. Thus, by the pranayama process, they were completely relieved of material attachment. We don't do it by the pranayama process. We do it by hearing attentively Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, rendering services to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna. By remaining perpendicular, they could concentrate their minds on the uppermost Brahman. While they were practicing their pranayama, the great sage Narada, who's worshipped both by demons and by demigods, came to see them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. In this verse, the words pare, amale are significant. The realization of Brahman is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Absolute Truth is realized in 3 phases: personal effulgence, Brahman; localized Paramatma; and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. In his prayers, Lord Shiva concentrated upon the personal features of Parabrahman, described in personal terms as Snigna Pravriddha Jnana Shamam. That's from Bhagavatam 4:24-45. Following the instructions of Lord Shiva, the prachetas also concentrated their minds on the Shyamsundara form of the Supreme Brahman. Although impersonal Brahman, Paramatma Brahman, and Brahman as the Supreme Person are all on the same transcendental platform, the personal feature of the Supreme Brahman is the ultimate goal and last word in transcendence. The great sage Narada travels everywhere. He goes to the demons and demigods and is equally respected. He's consequently described herein as Sarasarendra, worshipped both by demons and by demigods. For Narada Muni, the door of every house is open. Although there is perpetual animosity between the demons and the demigods, Narada Muni is welcomed everywhere. Narada Muni is considered one of the demigods, of course, and the word Devarshi means the saintly person among the demigods. But not even the demons envy Narada Muni. Therefore, he's equally worshipped both by demons and by demigods. A perfect Vaishnava's position should be just like Narada Muni's, completely and independent and unbiased. This is where I ask my Prabhus here, what did the last sentence say? This is for those online. That one should be independent and non-biased. And then I said, who should be that? The perfect Vaishnav. I've asked these Prabhus, they all said yes. Would you like to become a perfect Vaishnav? Some religions say it's not possible. Srila Prabhupada's encouraging us to come to that platform. How? By following the example and the teachings. Engaging in service to Narada Muni and our spiritual masters. So I'm going to shorten our prayers today because of the flaw of us not being able to tell when we have a dead mic. But if we could pray together. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Salakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pungam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Panaham De Shri Gurundi Natarnam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram Vanchakopaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First half of the purport is about the Supreme Absolute Truth. Learned Transcendentalists understand the Supreme Absolute Truth as a non-dual substance known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Vedanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam avyam brahmeti paramati Bhagavan iti shabdate. It's all the absolute truth. And according to your desire and realizations, you will understand the non-dual absolute truth accordingly. The learned transcendentalists who want to understand the last word in transcendence, the ultimate goal, will go to Bhagavan, the source of Paramatma and all-pervading impersonal Brahman. And in this purport, as well as in the purport Srila Prabhupada refers to, Snigna Pravidya Jnana Shaimam, he's saying that in the verse it says, by remaining perpendicular, they could concentrate their minds on the uppermost Brahman, Bhagavan. In the purport he says, following the instructions of Lord Shiva, the Prachetas also concentrated their minds on the Shyamsundara form of the Supreme Brahman. That's not really true. They were concentrating their minds upon Vishnu. But here you get to see Srila Prabhupada's personal bhava coming out. Lord Chaitanya, when he would go to, what is the name of the, is it Adhoksaja Vishnu? When Lord Jagannath has the Leela becoming ill for a fortnight, Lord Chaitanya can't bear the separation. To even go into the temple and not being able to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. So he goes off a ways. Is it Adhoksaja Vishnu? I believe it is. It's a four-armed form of Vishnu. But you know who Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would see when he'd see the four-armed form of Vishnu? He'd see Shyamsundara, threefold bending form playing his flute. In fact, when he would see Lord Jagannath, you know who he would see? He wouldn't see the transcendental form we see manifest on our altar. He would see Shyamsundara, threefold bending form playing the flute. Do you know what he saw when he saw the Sudarshan Chakra on top of Jagannath's temple? He saw it a couple, 3 miles away and began running towards his Lord. The Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's described. Take a wild guess what he saw when seeing Sudarshan Chakra on top of the temple. Vijay Prabhu does get the prize. He saw Shyamsundara, threefold bending form, playing his flute. This is the perfect Vaishnav. Krishna Prem. That's what Srila Prabhupada is offering to us. Krishna Prem. Man, oh man, it's way above our heads and is held in the highest esteem. But at least we can hear about it as Prabhupada shares it with us and repeat it and pray, hope against hope, that at some point, by His mercy, Guru's mercy, it might descend upon us. I'm going to read a little bit about this 4:24:46 that was referred to in the purport. And you're going to hear Prabhupada elaborate even more on his personal bhava. Lord Shiva, who does he glorify in the Rudra Gita? Who does he describe and meditate upon? Dee, 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 dee. Who? He meditates upon Vishnu. The verse that is being quoted is, the Lord's beauty resembles a dark cloud during the rainy season. As the rainfall glistens, His bodily features also glisten. Indeed, He's the sum total of all beauty. Try and let that sink in. Any and everything that's beautiful in this world and all the three worlds and beyond, add it all up together, it doesn't match the beauty of Vishnu. The Lord has 4 arms and an exquisitely beautiful face with eyes like lotus petals, a beautiful highly raised nose, a mind-attracting smile, and a beautiful forehead and equally beautiful and fully decorated ears. Now we get to hear Srila Prabhupada glorify his Ishtadev in the purport. After the scorching heat of the summer season, it's very pleasing to see dark clouds in the sky. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Bhagavatam Samasatam Buddhasungarangam. The Lord wears a peacock feather in His hair, and His bodily complexion is just like a blackish cloud. The word Sundara or Snigdha, Shyamsundara, the word Sundara or Snigdha means very pleasing. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Krishna's beauty is so pleasing that not even millions upon millions of cupids can compare to it. Not even Vishnu's beauty being described in this verse can compare to... Are you still with us? Stand up if you need to. Not even Vishnu's beauty as being described in this verse can compare to Krishna's beauty. That's described by Sanatana Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. When Gopakumar would go to higher and higher levels of the kingdom of God, he would be overwhelmed seeing, oh my goodness, the Lord is even more beautiful here. Like he had darshan of the Mahapurusha in Brahmaloka, thousand-armed Vishnu. Then when he got to Vaikuntha and saw Narayan, oh my gosh, how is it possible? He's even more beautiful. When he got to Ayodhya and saw Lord Ram, even more beautiful. You go to Dwarka, Lord Dwarkadish. I don't want to say puts to shame, but the beauty doesn't compare. There is comparison, but it's even more sweet, more attractive, more concentrated beauty. And thus the devotees become more bewildered, more attracted, more absorbed in loving service to the Lord in more intimate ways than previously facilitated or inspired by the beauty of the Lord. Then when you come to Krishna, Vraja Krishna, that's it. There is no one or nothing more beautiful than Krishna except for one personality, Srimati Radharani. Even she attracts the most beautiful. What is it? Madan Mohan, Shyamsundara, more beautiful than millions of cupids, and she attracts even him. If you look on the BBT calendar for this month, you have a picture, wonderful picture of Krishna sitting on a marble floor, shiny as anything, just like a mirror, and he's totally absorbed in seeing his transcendental form, the beauty of his face and all its features. How many moons on the body of the Lord, Vijay? 24 and a half. 23 and a half? 24 and a half. How do you describe the beauty of the Lord when we've seen, we've never seen, we have seen, but we've forgotten in our amnesia disease state of being Nitya Buddha at this point? How do you conceive? Parallels are made or analogies or some reference to the moon. 24 moons. 24 and a half moons. Lotus flowers. Some of the most beautiful things in the world. So these references given kind of help us contemplate, develop the desire to want to see the Lord, qualifying ourselves in devotional service where, just like here, the Prachetas are doing their thing. They're meditating upon Vishnu. Prabhupada says, Amale Malay, very significant in this verse. They're free from all material contamination because they're completely on the transcendental platform. And as a result, Narada Muni wants to come visit them. He wants to see them. In the same way, we should desire to become perfect in our service attitude to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna, so that Krishna will want to see us. When he reveals himself, that's the beginning of perfection. Like Narada Muni, we're speaking about in the second half of the purport. As a maidservant's son in his previous birth, he got to see Krishna once. And it was actually just for a short darshan. And completely enlivened, overwhelmed with his Lord had appeared within his heart, had allowed him to see him within his heart. Then the vision broke, and that was it. He couldn't bring back the Lord despite his intense endeavor, despite practicing the same pranayama, mystic yoga that the Prachetas are following. Krishna's mercy, causeless mercy. He reveals himself to one to whom he chooses. But that was all it took. Then Narada Muni spent the rest of his life waiting for that moment to once again have the darshan of Krishna. I really wanted to read this whole purport, but because it talks about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Marg. In reality, as we worship Radha Giridhari, our service by the mercy of Guru can be offered to Lakshmi Nishinga. Strictly following the Narada Pancharatra, the vidhis, the rules of deity worship, our service, which is in reverence and awe of the Godhead, is accepted by Lakshmi Narayan. But only the most perfect of perfect Vaishnavas on the spontaneous platform, whose devotional love for the Lord has transcended the rules. They don't need rules telling them what to do, what not to do. They simply want to serve Krishna. They cannot help but serve Krishna. Those devotees can worship and reciprocate with Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna reveal themselves to such devotees, whether the worshipful deity is Radha Giridhari, Jagannath, the Sudarshan Chakra, etc. Srila Prabhupada in the purport says, the inhabitants in Vrindavan, the gopis, Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys, the cows, and everyone else are actually on the Raga Marg or Bhagavat Marg platform. They participate in 5 basic rasas: servitude, friendship, parental, conjugal, and shanta, equipoise, neutral. Although these 5 rasas are found in the Bhagavat Marg is especially meant for Vatsalya and Madhurya, or parental and conjugal relationships. Yet there is and I think this is a typo, it says Vipralamba Sakya, the higher fraternal worship of the Lord, especially enjoyed by the cowherd boys. Because a little bit later, Srila Prabhupada in the purport uses the term, let me find it. It's a long purport. It's over 3 pages. But holy smokes, this book uses Vipralamba both times. What does Vipralamba mean? That's not, I don't believe that's correct. It's Visramba. Visramba Sakya Ras. In my phone, according to the Veda base, first time says Vipralamba Sakya and second time says Visramba. I think it's Visramba. This is 4 chapter 24, text 45 and 46. Vishramba is not subordinate friendship. You're talking about equal, and even more so, where in the friendship you have parental. You have even more intimate sentiment for Krishna. And Prabhupada goes on to explain this. Yet there is Visrambya Sakya, the higher fraternal worship of the Lord, especially enjoyed by the cowherd boys. Although there's friendship between Krishna and the cowherd boys, this friendship is different from the Aishvarya friendship between Krishna and Arjuna. When Arjuna saw the Vishvarupa, the gigantic form of the gigantic universal form of the Lord, he was afraid for having treated Krishna as an ordinary friend. Therefore, he begged Krishna's pardon. See, he's a devotee of Vasudeva, Krishna, and Dwarka. The friendship is not as intimate. However, Srila Prabhupada continues, the cowherd boys who are friends of Krishna and Vrindavan sometimes ride on the shoulders of Krishna. They treat Krishna equally, just as they treat one another, and they're never afraid of him, nor do they ever beg his pardon. I always thought it was a bogus saying, but in one comic strip when I was growing up, it wasn't really that funny, a comic strip, but anyway, they had a saying, love means never to say, I'm sorry. I thought, that's bogus. God, how many times have I stepped on the feet of those I love? I better apologize. Those I love are especially the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. I don't want that hanging on around my neck. But here, the cowherd boys, they don't even think about apologizing to Krishna. They might trip him. They might pin him in wrestling. They might say, oh, wow, wait till you taste this sweet that my mother has made. Oh, you're going to love it. Close your eyes, open your mouth. And then they take a dandelion, a fully bloomed dandelion, and blow all the seeds in his mouth. And everybody laughs. You don't say, I'm sorry. This is an intimacy only on the Raga Marg platform in Vrindavan with Yasodanandan, Shyamsundara Krishna. But to get there, and I don't have time to go on reading, to get there you have to follow Vidhi Marg, Vaidhi Bhakti. But you can't stay on the platform of Vaidhi Bhakti. Not in terms of your own endeavor. You should always be praying for the point when you're enthusiastic. That was what Vijay made mention of. Everything we do, we should be enthusiastic. Throw ourselves into it. Be attentive to details. See if we can improve today what we did yesterday. Try to develop the motivation, the inspiration where no one has to tell you, but you are looking forward to doing that which you can in service to Krishna. That's what qualifies, that spontaneity. It will arise in the heart if the desire is there and if you are putting your heart into bhakti, not just going through the motions. That's why we suggest that when we are in kirtan, we do the Swami step. Did you find when you started doing the Swami step, actually you got more into the kirtan? It's amazing. You follow Prabhupada's instructions and you are carried up in the spiritual potency of bhakti, the realm of the Lord. Don't cut corners. Follow them to the best of your ability. And you'll see the results. It's magical compared to where we're coming from. Conditioned consciousness, envy. Ramananda Roy, he was the expert, the possessor of this knowledge of Raga Marg and Radha Krishna Bhakti. He was the expert. When Prajumya Mishra, a Brahmin, very learned, approached Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, I'm a fallen householder absorbed in sense gratification, but somehow or other I've developed a desire to hear about Krishna. Therefore I've come to your lotus feet. Please accept me and teach me the glories of Radha and Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged him, as all of you should be encouraged. You are very fortunate to have the desire to hear about Krishna. You are most fortunate. This is a rare quality in this world. Not in the spiritual world. They have nothing but topics of the Lord dancing on their tongues. But in this world, it's rare. So much other crap to talk about. Distracting, disturbing. Hundreds and thousands of topics. Simply, we croak like the frog. Anybody want to do a frog imitation? Oh, you guys are no fun. Well, they think it sounds pretty cool. Might be able to attract that female frog if I keep it up. But Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport in Bhagavatam that they're simply attracting the snakes. Oh, that's where the frog is. That's my dinner. Simply attracting the snake of death with all these other topics. This is the topic of nectar, of deathlessness, of eternality, of freedom. And one who has developed a taste, an attraction, or even the desire to hear about these topics. Very fortunate. But Lord Chaitanya said, unfortunately, I don't know about the glories of Radha and Krishna. I listen to Ramananda Roy. There is no greater authority on the topics of Radha and Krishna than he. I think you should go and listen from him. And he did. He went to the home of Ramananda Roy. He sat in the assembly hall, the assembly room, the darshan room, whatever. But he was busy. Ramananda Roy He was born in a Shudra family, a Kayasta family. He is the governor of Madras, a politician. He was a householder, a pounds-pilling shints attached, conditioned so by all external appearances. But no, as Vijay Prabhu said, he's Lalita Devi in his Swarup, his eternal identity in relationship with Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And because he was always fixed in his identity and in his services within his mind to Radha and Krishna, he would write poems. Jagannath Vallabha Natika is one of the most famous. And it was performed, this drama was performed for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And you have actors and actresses in your dramas, and he would get the professional singers and dancers to play the parts of gopis. But the gopis, it's not simply their beauty that attracts Krishna. Krishna is totally attracted by Srimati Radharani. He always wants to be in her association. He wants to touch the transcendental form of Srimati Radharani. But you know what gives him even more pleasure than touching the divine form of Srimati Radharani? Seeing the transcendental ecstasies she's experiencing within her heart manifest in the medium of her eyes, her eyebrows, her mouth, her bodily movements. If you read the Vrindavan pastimes, Madhya Lila 14, Swarup Damodar will describe these things, the different kinds of heroines or gopis, and the different transcendental ecstasies. And they're like waves, contradictory almost, successive waves. You can have fear, you can have anger, you can have pride, you can have shyness, you can... all these things in waves, and as they overwhelm her body, it comes through her eyes, her eyebrows, shrinking away. Srimati Radharani also exhibits a threefold bending form in certain ecstatic moments. Bent knees, waist, and neck. When Krishna simply sees Srimati Radharani, he's more satisfied than actually touching. This science of the Madhurya Ras, Radha Krishna Bhakti, is so far beyond our gross, crass, conditioned understanding of what love is and the pleasures and emotions of love. And we just see reflections in this world. But Ramananda Roy, he wasn't able to help Pradyumna Mishra the first time because he was bathing, massaging with oil, dressing, decorating, and then teaching. Because he's Lalita, he knows the ecstasies of Srimati Radharani. He knows her expressions. He diligently taught them the expressions of the ecstasies of the gopis for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And when the servant explained to Pradyumna Mishra what he's doing, like, what, he was there for hours. He said, I'm sorry, he's doing this. Generally, anybody in ISKCON, if you were doing something a little controversial, it's not like you would just tell. I mean, who's Pradyumna Mishra? He hadn't been seen. He goes and says, he's bathing, massaging, dressing, decorating, and training the Devi Dasis for his play for Lord Jagannath. If anybody, well, rightly so, but if you hear of things that are outside the box in Krishna consciousness, spreading Krishna consciousness, etc., it's not unusual for the neophytes to find fault because it's not within their realization or comprehension sometimes. I've certainly seen it in my lifetime in devotional service. Advanced devotees, as Providence would have it at the time, on the outskirts of ISKCON in spreading Krishna consciousness like anything, but sometimes in ways that were like criticized because they weren't understood. And Pradyumna Mishra was certainly bewildered. So he went that evening to see Lord Chaitanya, and the Lord asked him, "Did you hear about Krishna? Topics of Krishna?" He said, "No." He was engaged in this activity. And Lord Chaitanya, when he heard the activities of Ramananda Roy, he said, "This is the prerogative of Ramananda Roy and nobody else. Only he in this world could offer or engage in such activities and his mind not be disturbed one pinch of an iota. It'd be as if he was touching wood or metal. I'm not agitated." Lord Chaitanya said, "I'm a sannyasi. I consider myself fairly renounced, but if I even hear the sound of a woman speaking, my mind goes through changes." Such is the potency of the attraction between male and female. Of course, he's speaking in humility. He's glorifying his devotee. He said, "Ramananda Roy, I can't understand his realizations, but from Scripture I can understand that he is fixed in his Swarup, his eternal identity as a maidservant of Radha and Krishna, and 24 hours a day is serving their lordships in that relationship. Therefore, all of this, there is no material attraction or influence, contamination by material energy. Not even." He said, "Next time go and drop my name. Say, Lord Chaitanya has sent me to hear topics of Krishna." And he did, and he heard, and he was eternally grateful. He got more than he even could ever imagine by the mercy of Ramananda Roy. Narada Muni, he's a Vaikuntha Bhakta. He's in Vaikuntha Bhav. But interestingly enough, one time in Vrindavan, he wanted to understand, to taste, to see a little bit of this Madhurya reciprocation service between the gopis and Krishna, Krishna and the gopis. And he got a blessing. I think it was Purnamasi, but take that with a grain of salt. But she said, "You take bath in this kund and you'll receive a female form." It's there in Vraj. And you have the form of Naradi. She has her Veena. Do you know where Narada Muni got his transcendental Veena? Krishna personally gave it to him. This is no mundane instrument. So with the transcendental Veena, he serves the Lords everywhere, anywhere. And he got to see a glimpse of this reciprocation on the highest platform. The Lord will reciprocate with our desires. Why are you serving Guru and Krishna? Why are you here? Think about it. We could say it's the most important thing for you to understand in life. You want to pick your guide, your shelter, your guru. Take advantage of the association of your gurus. And understand, what do you want? Because you'll get whatever you want in Krishna consciousness. Everybody does. If we focus on this type of kata given to us by Srila Prabhupada, then that's what we'll get. We'll get service to Vraja Krishna, to Radha and Krishna, through the medium of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers. So Narada Muni is welcomed everywhere because, I wanted to share this verse because it's dear to Vijay, and I would like it to become dear to me. 5-7. Where's the microphone when we need it? Can you give it to Vijay, Prabhu? Would you do the honors of the Sanskrit, Prabhu?
Yoga yukta vashutatma vijitatma jitendriya sarvutama bhutatma kurvanapinda lipyate.
You probably even know it word for word, don't you? Give it a shot.
One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Although engaged in all different types of activities, he's never entangled.
If that doesn't describe Narada Muni, nothing does. He's dear to everyone. Why? Because everyone is dear to him. Why is everyone dear to Narada Muni and the perfect Vaishnavas? Because everyone is dear to Krishna. If you love Krishna, you will love those who Krishna loves. You will serve those who Krishna loves to the best of your ability. Yesterday in the purport, 2 verses, what was it? Brahmabhuta and Vidya Sampani Brahmani Gavihastani, the 2 verses. And Prabhupada gives once again his personal bhav in describing this. The perfect devotee sees equally everyone, wanting to give everyone the equal opportunity for devotional service. That's all Narada Muni does. He's devotional service personified. Bhakti Shakti Shaktya Vaishavatar. He simply goes around chanting the names of Krishna, and he finds someone who he hopes to be a worthy candidate, but he doesn't discriminate. Cobras, barbaric hunters, kings, Brahmins, etc., etc. Anybody and everybody, he'll share the glories. The results are up to Krishna, but his preaching is pretty potent. His success rate is quite high. And he shares the philosophy, and he gives them the process. And by his mercy, just like the mercy of the Prachetas, by Narada Muni's, the father of the Prachetas became perfect in Krishna consciousness. So anyway, he has a transcendental body where he can go to Vaikuntha or anywhere in the material universes, heaven, hell, and in between. He loves everybody, therefore everybody loves him. Just like the 6 Goswamis. Dira, dira, jana, piro, pirakaro. The demons didn't like Krishna in Vrindavan, but the demons loved the 6 Goswamis. The Lord loves to glorify his devotees, give them positions where it seems like they're exhibiting even more wonderful qualities than the Lord. And that was what took place in Chaitanya Leela with Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy told Pradyumna Mishra, there's one thing you should understand, I'm not talking. Lord Chaitanya is dancing on my tongue, vibrating my tongue. The words he wishes to speak are coming out. When Pradyumna Mishra told that to Lord Chaitanya said, this is the nature of a exalted soul. He gives benefit for his words to the intelligence of another. And of course, that's a Vaishnava. All glories, all gratitude goes to gurus, to Krishna. What can we claim on our own? As Prabhupada would say, I simply didn't change anything. Or for us, we can say, we simply want to follow the process as it is. We want to please Guru and Krishna. So, this is the thing. We talk the philosophy, but Maharaj is making the nice point. We should become the example and personification of the teachings we share. If not, really, more often than not, we're shooting blanks. Krishna can miraculously work through even those who are heavily motivated and personally selfish in their desires. Krishna can work magic anywhere, and to whom anyone he wishes, but to have the best chance of being used as an instrument, we should become that which we wish to see in others. And if we don't, we're cheating ourselves and really cheating others. But we are the biggest loser, because it's right here in front of us. We just have to want it and accept it. There any questions or comments, my dear Prabhus?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Haribol, Tapan.
I think Vijay Prabhu has a question. Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
I would love to hear it. Hare Krishna, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Rajendranandana Prabhu, my obeisances. My question is related to the purport, and I quote, but not even the demons envy Narada Muni. Therefore, he is equally worshipped both by demons and by demigods. End quote. So my question is, if I may, if Narada Muni, in accordance with this quote, is equally worshipped both by demons and by demigods, why is it that the fighting between demons and demigods is still going on?
Thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
Although there is perpetual, just 2 sentences before in the purport, although there is perpetual animosity between the demons and demigods, Narada Muni is welcomed everywhere. They don't like each other, the Devas and the Asuras. But they both like Narada Muni. I don't think that should be really that hard to grasp. See, Narada Muni is amazing. He never has any ill intent with the demons. The Devas will fight them, will try to suppress them, will try to kill them in battle, etc. Narada Muni never reciprocates that way with demons. He actually sometimes helps them. Yeah, as Vijay Prabhu is referring, with Kamsa. Kamsa was shattered when Yogamaya rose up out of his hands when he was going to dash the baby child on the marble, crush her skull, kill her immediately. She rose up with her 8 arms, said, "You fool, he who is going to kill you has already been born elsewhere." He was crushed. It's over. Narada Muni doesn't want him to be crushed and not to engage in the activities that will carry on the desire of the Lord in his pastimes. He goes and tells him, "What are you giving up for? Krishna took birth just recently. The Lord, in fact, he's in Vrindavan." What a rat. He snitched out on Krishna. That is a big no-no in some places. Prison and jail. Snitched him out. He's born in Vraj. So what does Kamsa do? He goes and kills so many newborn children. You want to hear what one of the acharyas says in that regard? Kamsa doesn't have the ability to kill Vrajvasis, devotees of Krishna. He killed the followers of Kamsa living in Vraj. He had followers in Vraj who were sympathetic to the king, Kamsa, like who was it? The cloth man, the laundry man. What do you mean you want some of this cloth? This is the king's. He'll chastise you. He'll put you in your place. Not realizing. Of course, Krishna hasn't manifested his leelas yet, but their heart was dirty. And the Acharya says Kamsa's henchmen went and they were killing all the newborn babies, and they were children of the sympathetic to Kamsa. So Narada Muni, he never He loves, what to speak of, gives respect to everybody. So, in my personal life, I judge people in two ways. Oh, that J word. But it's true. How you treat me and how you treat others. And even if you're not ideal in how you treat others, if you treat me in a way in which, it is a friendly or respectful or loving reciprocation, that's what I emphasize. So they see Narada Muni cares for us. He respects us. He sometimes helps them. So they have no reason to envy him. And that's about what I can say on that topic. Does that shed some light on it, Vijay Krishna?
Yes, Rajendranandana Prabhu, thank you very much for your wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, in the purport, it was talking about how Narada Muni is respected equally by demons and demigods, and then toward the end of your class, you were talking about how he has equal compassion, and he indiscriminately, is merciful to living entities, and that was also, I guess, there in the end of the purport, and being unbiased. But at the beginning, toward the beginning of your talk, you mentioned how Narada Muni went to see the Pachetas because he was specifically eager, happy to see the Pachetas because they were taking very seriously Krishna conscious instructions which were given to them. And so, I guess from that I'm also wondering in general, for aside from Narada Muni, for someone if someone's an Uttama Adhikari who maybe sees everyone as engaged in Krishna, in Krishna's service, even if someone's on that platform of seeing everyone engaged in Krishna's service, still would an Uttama Adhikari also be particularly eager to, take association from people who are really engaged in Krishna's service and really have love for Krishna? While they may have a kind of equal vision, all living entities seeing them as somehow engaged in service, would an Uttama Adhikari still have some preference or a special, eagerness when seeing someone, or even recognize someone who's has really has love for Krishna, and really want to spend time and take association from that person?
That's that question by Parikshit Maharaj. You say the Lord is equal to everyone, but he seems to favor the devas. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm equal to everyone. I envy no one is my friend, but those who render service to me. I'm a friend to him, and he's in me, and I'm always in him. It's natural affection. Devotees want to be with devotees. Prabhupada said, my mercy was given to all equally, but some accepted and some didn't. And those who accepted to different degrees. Those who accept totally, giving their life completely to guidance of Guru, complete blessings and mercy. You see the result. They're the ones who are the perfect Vaishnavas. So it is worth noting that although he's an Uttama Adhikari, a big symptom of the Uttama Adhikari, generally speaking, is they don't preach. So there are aspects of the Madhyam Adhikari with Narada Muni. He may not discriminate, and that's the loving nature for all. But he's constantly preaching. He knows people are in Maya and they need Krishna in his service. So, those two aspects are there. He'll give everyone the equal opportunity. And Prabhupada said the same thing. That, I see everyone equally. Therefore, I want to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. But when one is reciprocating, then there's time and place where, Narada Muni wants to associate with these Vaishnavas. Does it make sense? Is it giving some light to it?
Yeah, I guess I'm still wondering if it's characteristic of an Uttama Adhikari to still recognize that some people are especially engaged and really want to take association, or if that's really just for a madhyam, making those distinctions between someone who's really highly engaged in Krishna service and someone who's kind of engaged in
Yeah.
a maybe an inferior
11th
way.
canto will say that that's the activities of the Madhyama Adhikari. But if you are an Uttama Adhikari playing the role of a Madhyam, then of course your Uttama realizations in nature will come through also. Right? Like Ramananda Roy, he's Vishaka. No, I said, wait, he's Lalita. Forgive me. He's Lalita. He's also Arjuni, a gopi, and Arjuna. Interesting. Those three are listed in the Gauranga Kavi Kanapurna. So he's always absorbed in this particular pastime, Prajumi Mishra, in his eternal identity. But externally he will act, and there will be, reciprocations with others on the external platform, apparent external platform, apparent mundane platform, but really always influenced, never, forgotten the innermost nature. Does that make some sense? We need to wrap this up. Did anybody else have anything? If it's brief, I'll be brief. And if it's not sufficient, we'll discuss it in breakfast.
I guess the briefest question, then I have one for breakfast, would be, you talked about how you judge people by how they treat you and how they treat others. Does how they treat themselves, is that included within others, or is that an aspect of how you might judge someone?
Well, how you treat yourself will be able to, will depend on how much you let your walls down in your reciprocation with anyone, including me. The more one's walls are down, the more you can have a genuine relationship beyond the superficial haribols. We should always be looking for friendship in devotional service. It's rare, but boy, when you find it, it's super valuable in advancing in Krishna consciousness. Someone you can reveal your heart to and get guidance from, or hear their heart. Super valuable. So that would be my brief.
So the way you treat others is indicating how you treat yourself.
Certainly. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada ke, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ke, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ke. I apologize for the time. We'll blame it on technical difficulties. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, well, thank you for the wonderful class.